Hey guys, Helen Hart-Smith here from the Heart of the Witch's Path YouTube channel, here with another video for you. I was doing some brainstorming about some different ideas for videos, and I started looking around on my bookshelves, and I realized I had a few books on runes. So I thought, let's compare and contrast some of these books and see, do I need them all? Or perhaps should I find a new home for some or one of them? Let's see. Let's see what I've got. So I'm not even sure which one to start with, so I'm just going to go here. Tiny, let's start off little. So this is the Little Giant Encyclopedia of Runes by Rune Knight. I'm going to guess that's how it's pronounced. If I murdered it, I'm very sorry. So this book has a copyright date. Where did it go? Did I lose it? 2000. I think this might be the newest book that I have. And it's a little monster. It's just over 500 pages. But it's little. So if it were, a more normal size, it would have far less pages. This one I think is interesting because you have your section where it deals with the runes. You've got, the depiction of what the rune looks like. This particular one for Manwaz, the entry starts on page 167 and goes through, let's see, kind of skipped over it, to 172. So that's, quite a nice little chunk of information. And it talks about the meanings and the keywords that are associated with it. It also talks about the tree and the herb that correspond with that particular rune, gemstones, colors, the runic half month that it associates with, other names as far as the Germanic name, the Norse name, the Icelandic name, things like that. Gods or goddesses that are associated with that particular rune, power animals, what element. There's a lot of really interesting correspondence information in here. There's also a song for each rune that I think is awesome. And then it goes into a longer divination meaning for the rune. I like this book for all of the information that it gives you. However, I might misspeak myself. I kind of want to check before I say that. Because I also have this book called Taking Up the Runes by Diana Paxson. And this book deals with two runes together. Now, I want to say that this book, I'm pretty sure that this one does not. No, there might be some song to it, but she doesn't go into correspondences. And so, as far as my research, as far as what I know about runes, there are some people that are authorities when it comes to rune lore, where they came from, what they mean, and things like that. And Thorson is one of them, and Snorri, I can never remember what Snorri's full name is, but they're kind of like the old school guys that did the initial research and such. And I did not come across any kind of correspondency type stuff for that. Not to say that it can't exist, and I don't know exactly where Rune Knight found her correspondences. I think they're helpful, but part of me wants to question, where did that information come from? So that's something that I might, try to find out more in the future. But as far as a quick reference, this guy packs a big punch. It's easy to look stuff up. It's small, it's compact, you can take it with you. So that's nice. Yes, it's thick, but the small size, you can get it into any space. So this one's kind of nice, and honestly, I see that I picked it up used from Schuler's. So with a 2000 copyright, I'm sure that it's still available. I think it's kind of worth it. I want to say that this was the first Rune book I ever purchased. I could be wrong, but it's certainly been helpful as far as like finding quick meanings and such, because some of the other books that I have, you really got to read the whole thing, you know, to kind of understand what's going on. So the next book that I have, this one is the one that is my most recent purchase. So this one is Futhark, and it is the Handbook for Rune Magic by Edred Thorson. Edred Thorson. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this one has a 1984, I believe, 1984 copyright date, and this one is about 150 or so odd pages. I think that this is really interesting because Thorson is considered one of the authorities when it comes to Rune and runic lore and things like that. And so this is a handbook to Rune magic. So this one doesn't really necessarily have divination meanings. This is for using runes magically. This is for using runes to empower a spell, to carve a particular rune or series of runes, a bind rune, into something and to use it magically. And so this one's set up really nice, and it's got, this is the first one, so it's got what the rune looks like. It shows you the spelling, the names from the different regions, again, Germanic, Icelandic, Norwegian, what it looked like, alternate forms of what it looked like, and the phonetic value, so what is the sound, so Fehu is the F sound. And then it goes into body postures and a galder, which is that chant that I talked about in the other book, and what you can use it for magical workings for. And so that's like once you get into it, and there's some nice beginning chapters that deal with the runic revival and runic practices. There's a table here that shows the different sets of runes that, you know, you can find that online anywhere. But there's a history, things like that. This is for someone that wants to know more about runes. And I'm in the process of reading this along with the Paxson book. And so far, it's really interesting. I haven't gotten through the whole thing, but you know, this is for magical working, not necessarily divination. So this, I think, is an important book to have for a couple of reasons. It's dealing with magic. It's by Thorson. And so there's a lot of good information here. Now, another book that I have is another Edred Thorson book, and this one is the Runecaster's Handbook. And so this actually deals more with rune casting. And this came after the Futhark book. This has a 1999 first published date, but it's also copyright 1988. So, and Thorson in this book, he heavily cites both the Futhark book and another book that he wrote called, where is it? There's like footnotes on here, and I can't remember what it was called. I'm trying to find it really quick. It's another rune book, and I'm not finding it quickly, so I won't make you wait. Rune Lore, a handbook for esoteric runology. And I don't have that one, but I might pick it up at some point. But this one actually talks about casting, and it has divination meanings and things like that. I was a little thrown when I opened this book by the Uruz depiction, because that's not how I see Uruz. And none of these really look like some other books. So that kind of like threw me at first. So I went and looked at the other runes, and they all look, that's the only one that threw me off. So I was kind of glad of that, because I was like, oh, what is what's going on here? So this one has, one thing that I thought was interesting is in here, he actually has stanzas from poems that deal with the rune. And so there's the Germanic, there's different sections here. See how it's got OERP and ONRR and OIRP. In the beginning chapter here, before he gets into that, he shows or shares what those are. And it boils down to like the Germanic and the Norwegian translations and such. So that's kind of cool to have a translated stanza from the different regions that kind of pull out that rune. And he's got a lore section, and then he calls it a bright stave and a murk stave. And those are basically kind of like your reverse, or your upright and your reverse meanings. So that's kind of cool. And then there's a really quick keywords at the end. So if you just want the keywords for whatever that particular rune is about. So this one's nice to get into the actual divination. And there's some drawings in the back as you get into like the casting and stuff like that. So that one's kind of interesting too. And it looks like I'm going to keep that one too. And then of course there's the Paxton book, and the Paxton, some people might say that the Paxton book is the one to buy, because when she talks about the runes, she actually goes through and she will say, Snorri says this about this rune. Thorson says this about this rune. And so she compares and contrasts what the big names have said. And so it's kind of nice to have it like in one location. She's done a lot of work and put it all together in one area. And what I really like about this Paxton book is that, like I said, she puts two runes together in one reading, in one chapter. But they go together, and she talks about ancient meanings and modern meanings and how it translates from the ancient times to the modern times. There's, of course, the interpretation. But really more importantly, this is set up to be a book that a group reads together, okay, and studies together. And so in the back of the book, there's an additional chapter that is a ritual that goes with those two runes per chapter. And so I find that very interesting. It has chants, it has meditations, it has all kinds of stuff, songs. And so this is really kind of like an all-in-one book that if you're looking to start learning about runes, this might be a great place to pick up something, and then you can do further work. You can, pick up the Thorson books if you want to read the full work that he did. And I think Thorson has, besides the other one that he mentions in the one book, he might have a couple of other books. He did quite a lot of work on the subject. So it's kind of interesting. So 4 books that I didn't realize I had 4 books on runes. But honestly, I think I'll keep them all because they each have their own worth. And so, not purging anything today, guys. So I'm going to wrap it up with that. If you learned something from this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have a comment, please leave it below. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. We love to have you come back. That's going to wrap it up for me for now. So thanks for walking the path for a little while with me. And until next time, blessed be.